You worry too much. Right. I'm lost. Don't give up. Please don't give up. Take him on. You stand on that bridge. Stand alone. And may it come. And whatever may go. That river's flowing. That river's flowing. Yes, that river of truth, baby. Keep it flowing. Good to see you guys. Hey, Billy, Carolina. My name is Dee, and I'm streaming out of Humboldt County about Humboldt County to Humboldt County and anyone else who cares. And I'm going through this study, and I'm going to try really hard to get through it as quick as possible because it is about, I think it's 14 or 16 pages or something like that. But we can do this. We can do this. Hey, Carl. Good to see you. Did you like my earworm for the day, friend? I always think of you. Every time I get an earworm, I'm like, I don't know anybody that has a bigger problem with earworms. But is it really a problem? It might not be a problem. You know, we kind of are subject to this programming. Best Knives. The Best Life makes beautiful handmade knives and sheaths, and I bought one. And I love them. And he does not get enough attention. Although sometimes you get some crazy views on your streams, don't you? Because he will stream live when he's making his knives and sheaths. So if you are into that thing, you should subscribe to Best Life. Because he cool. He cool, man. All right, let's see. 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Not too bad. I have a lot of ramblings to do here, but not today. Not on this stream. I teased my girlfriends last night. We were going to go live. I have a lot of things to say. I will do a little teaser right now. Actually, I'm going to share a little bit of what I've been working on for, let's see. My next stream is going to be with my girls. I think, well, I don't know. The girls and I are going to do a stream called Small Changes, Big Results, I think. This one is influencers, but I will also be welcoming them up on the panel as well when I share my thoughts about influencers, which is really funny because Tori Says just did a really great stream, and I shared that with my girlfriends last night in the back room. Cola, Carolina, and Echo. They are my three most trusted sources in this group. Some of you guys I do too, but you know, I'm married. I got to keep a ladies group going. You guys could come once in a while. But anyways, the thing is, I've been at this from the beginning. You can see some of these photos here where I met Robert David Steele, Mustang Medic. Seth met that lawyer lady. I don't know whatever happened to her. Got Legend Matt down here in San Diego. I love that rant he gave. The tour, I was in South Dakota. I've been with this Patriot movement from the beginning, and I've got a lot of things to say about patriots. Because the thing is, you know what? Truthers and conservatives, y'all don't have liberty for others down as much as you think you do. You are the ones I'm trying to educate here. Because liberals, you know where they're at. They actually have more liberty as anarchists than conservatives and truthers. You will create more and more rules to keep us not being free, and the liberals will have no rules. So there's no confined liberty. We're going to be learning about confined liberty. Who is this whore on my screen? You want to know? I'll tell you. She was in the truckers movement, which was the beginning of learning about all of these things. Okay. It was the beginning of learning of woes. So that's your teaser. I'm going to read this book now. And we'll get into that another time. But I do have a lot of things to say about these influencers, for sure. And Tori Says is about to come out with a good one on them too. And I can't wait. I can't wait. One more little thing I'll share with you. Let me go to Stand Up Humboldt News here. So this is where the book is. You can follow along. I'll be sharing my screen so you can follow along. But if you go to About on this Stand Up Humboldt News and you go down to the blog roll, some of you info junkies will appreciate these blogs. There's no words. It's only links. And I am staunchly focused on Humboldt County and California. And all of you that want a dog on California, I bet if you're still sitting here attacking California and stuff going on here, you have no idea what's going on in your own county. This is not a California problem, okay? This is an America problem. That Tori Says that I loved and shared with my girlfriends yesterday, it's in this blog. You can find it. And I got it queued up to right at 1 hour, 35 minutes, where she starts dropping bombs about the Patriot movement and how all this stuff works. And it's just so exhausting, but she is able to really lay it out. And even Echo said, man, I wanted to try to formulate this into words, and it's hard. It's hard. So give it a watch. I really love Tori Says when she starts calling out these faker poser influencers, especially because they've stolen her work and they take credit. And people do that all the time. And it's just part of the movement problem that we have. So please check it out. Watch that whole thing. She goes into real depth, the problem with the Patriot movement and all the stages too, and how they find you and they appeal to your ego. And oh my God, somebody sees you now. It's a problem. It's a problem. Yeah, good. Keep working. I will encourage anybody to just keep on working. I'm going to read a few pages about liberty here. And I thank you for being here and for coming and supporting this information. I would love to see the liberty out on the airwaves a lot more. We need more liberty in this country, but not for the treasonous. Okay, they need to hang. But the free people, we deserve liberty, and we deserve to have liberty from others to think how we want to think, to do how we want to do, so long as we're not hurting anybody else. Make liberty great again in America, please. Okay, that's it for my spiel. Sorry for the 8-minute intro. It's been a minute. I haven't got to say much. I can't wait for chapter 3, though. I got to say that. I'm very excited for chapter 3. So yeah, get to your chores. Go get doing things. I'm going to be reading. I don't interject my opinion when I read. I just continue to read, okay? Please share this with anyone you know that you think likes to self-educate and learn. And I do also hope to have discussions on this in another stream later on down the road. I had to get through the test and the intro. We're actually just getting into chapter 1 now. So here we go. Words have power. Words are power. In the beginning, in the Hindu religion, the most sacred of all words is Om. It is the universal name of the Lord and surrounds all creation. Hindus believe that the Lord started chanting word Om to begin the creation of the world. Om was the first sound in the first creation. A word was the first creation, and its utterance led to all creation. In Christian and Jewish scripture, the Bible and Torah, the creation began with "Let there be light," and there was light. If this verse is literally taken, words have tremendous power. If it is not taken literally in that God said, "Let there be light," and elements, matter, or whatever followed the command, and there was light, the words still have tremendous power. They have power to command. Regardless, the language God used resulted in the thing he spoke. It became what he spoke. The idea that words have power is not new. Combining Hinduism and Christianity, just under 1/2 of the world's population believe words are so powerful that they literally created the universe. For example, in Christianity, the word meaning language is even more significant than just creation. The word was actually with God for the creation. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Am I showing this right? No. Okay, here we go. There we go. This is better, right? Is this better? I should put this on my... If you didn't know, I'm kind of not the best streamer, but I get by, and people don't mind because I'm raw and real. I am authentic and genuine, and I really don't care about things being perfect. And if you don't like it, I really don't care. You can move on. I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to educate. I haven't read this myself, so I'm reading this to learn with you. And I'm sorry for the pause. I promised I wouldn't do that. Despite the poetic value of this verse and the use of the word, a more proper translation from the Greek logos might have been language or speech. Logos is not just the word by itself, but the meaning or the substance of the word. The verse illustrates God's ability to speak substance to the cosmos to make it so. What is even more significant to Christianity is the word is specifically referring to Jesus Christ himself, and the word was God. Whether these words are taken faithfully or figuratively, or if you do not believe in God or the verses in Genesis or John, or reverence the Hindu word Om, the point is what you think becomes language. Language becomes action. Action has results. The idea is so significant that it is ingrained in many religious beliefs. Are words really powerful enough to create the universe, or are they just words? General semantics. There are two levels of communication, descriptive and experiential. Descriptive is communicating with an individual who has not experienced much of what you are communicating. They grasp what you are communicating only as far as you are able to describe the experience. Experiential is communicating with an individual who has experienced what you are communicating. Experiential communication allows the listener to actually feel the emotions related to their experiences as you are communicating. General semantics is a study that began almost 100 years ago. Among other things, general semantics theorists believe that words are simply symbols and that they are not the things that they symbolize. They believe that what a person thinks is going on outside their skin is not really what is going on. What they think is going on is clouded by their assumptions. In other words, a person's perception is not necessarily reality. General semantics call this behavior awareness. To a general semanticist, it is a flaw or mistake in our language to confuse the word itself with what the word stands for. Act as if the meaning of the words we use is contained solely in the word. Confusing facts with our inferences, assumptions, beliefs, etc., and not accounting for the many shades of gray, simplistically looking at things as if they were black or white, right or wrong, good or bad. General semantics call this verbal awareness. Further, the theory says that just because the words are pit bull, it does not make all pit bulls the same. For example, pit bull A is not pit bull B, is not pit bull C. Likewise, the puppy pit bull is not the full-grown pit bull, even though it is the same dog at different times in its life. While the ideas in the above theories are technically true, they are not completely true because they remove the emotional equation almost completely. To adhere perfectly to the theories of general semantics would be like Spock the Vulcan, completely separating the value of our emotional knowledge from the world around us. Although general semantics may be too literal, it does have some value. It is good to know there are differences in pit bulls A, B, and C, but we also must remember they have some similarities. Forgetting this fact might get you bitten. We should avoid judging solely on our past experiences, but to remove those experiences entirely would be to our detriment. It would be better to state that please God help me speak. Pit bull A may not be pit bull B, but might be similar to pit bull C. The ideas of general semantics have had some practical uses. Veterans who suffer from PTSD, for example, have been treated using these ideas. They are taught that loud noises back home are not loud noises in the battlefield, or a crowded street at home is not a crowded battlefield. Although general semantics has its merits in theory and some practical uses overall, it is too literal. One general semantics theorist noted that it was likely that as little as 20 individuals in the whole world actually practiced general semantics completely in their everyday lives. Words and language, the miracle of humanity. We have briefly presented some of the ideas of the general semantics in order to present a better understanding of the power of words and language. In understanding that power, it is important to know what actually gives it power. We do. That is what general semantics is missing. It is important to consider the extreme heartlessness of general semantics and the unbridled emotional connection to words so we can find the balance between the two. Words do have power in real life. To completely separate words from their meaning takes the humanity out of language. On the other hand, it would be unwise to take words so literally that they have debilitating effects. If you have a fear of large dogs, for example, it would be debilitating to hear the word Rottweiler if it was taken so literally it could as to conjure cold sweats and trembling fear. Did I turn the page for you? Where is it? What page am I on? 14. Oh, I haven't turned the page. Okay. Sorry. However, it could be even more dangerous if you separate the word from the fear so completely that when someone yells Rottweiler, you casually go about your merry way. Language makes us uniquely human. Language is a beautiful development of humankind. Not only can we relive our experiences ourselves, but we can allow others to share our experiences with us by reciting those experiences with language. Others can share our joy, fears, embarrassments, love, hate, and so much more, all through language. Words by themselves are just symbols. They only represent the thing they symbolize. By themselves, they have no power. When we attach ourselves to those words, connect them to our life story, then speak them to another, we pass part of ourselves to that person. The word becomes the vehicle to impart our thoughts, emotions, and experiences to another. The word now carries power. We very literally breathe the breath of life into our words. Animals can communicate, it is true, as it relates to self-preservation, warning of danger, location of food. In some cases, they may even communicate some emotions, such as loss. Animals cannot transfer ideas or pass on emotions and experiences that can transcend time. It is an amazing trait of humanity to very literally impart a part of ourselves to another. To accomplish this requires that we speak the same language. When two or more persons customarily annex the same sounds to the same ideas, the expression of these sounds by one person communicates his ideas to another. When two or more people agree that a word has a particular meaning resulting in the transfer of ideas, they are speaking the same language. As we will discuss later, it is important to recognize that it requires all parties to have the same understanding of what the word symbolizes in order to speak the same language. The classic Who's on First comedy routine between Abbott and Costello illustrates this point. Oh boy. Costello, who's on first? Abbott, yes. Costello, I mean the fellow's name, Abbott, who? Costello, the guy on first, who? Abbott. Costello, the first baseman, who? Abbott. Costello, the guy playing, Abbott. Who is on first? Costello, I'm asking you who's on first, Abbott. That's the man's name. Costello, that's whose name? Abbott, yes. Well, go on and tell me, Costello. Abbott, that's it. Costello, that's who? Abbott, yes. Costello, look, you got a first baseman? Abbott, certainly. Costello, who's playing first? Abbott, that's right. Human communications or language can literally transcend time. Grandpa can relate a story of his childhood to his grandchildren some 60 years later after the event occurred. His language can transport all the emotions, settings, props, and contexts from the event right to the moment he captivates his young audience. In fact, language is so powerful that even hundreds of years ago can be recounted by someone who was not there. Yet their words can bring the long past event to life in the present. Language, the first rapid exchange of ideas, thoughts, feelings, and experiences. One of the many benefits of the uniquely human creation language is the ability to exchange ideas, thoughts, feelings, and experiences quickly. We can sum up entire lives in a short story, a phrase, or even a single word. We may not always use the experiences of others to make good decisions ourselves. History repeats itself, is usually used in the negative. We are good, however, at building on each other's discoveries in science, invention, and in language. Whoever really knows what simple pop culture terms come from. Regardless, they quickly become part of our culture and are effective in conveying an idea or attitude quickly. An entire phrase of the past does not need to be used to convey a message. One small step is all that is needed to convey something of great achievement. Of course, the entire phrase, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Oh man, hold on one second. Mama. Sorry about that. Okay, where am I? Welcome to my stream. I know where I am. I know exactly where I am. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. The longer society exists, the better and more efficient we get at communicating ideas, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We still use phrases and terms from hundreds of years ago to convey our thoughts. Shakespeare and Benjamin Franklin continue to shape our society with their metaphors and wit. A penny saved is a penny earned, or to be or not to be. Even our high-tech world uses electronics that Ben Franklin coined, such as positive and negative. Building on the human experience from person to person, generation to generation, decade after decade, through the centuries, we all become part of the human story. We all become part of the miracle of language. Sticks and stones. Remember the old adage, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never harm me? True courage consists in doing what is right, despite the jeers and sneers of our companions. This old adage is designed for the hearer, not the speaker. It helps the hearer make correct choices regardless of what others are saying. It is a way to mature your mental discipline with regards to interaction with others by way of language. But, as you know, and anyone who has experienced language aimed to hurt has leaned. Words can hurt. Words can hurt deeply, especially if they are specifically designed to do so. Even a word not spoken can have negative effects if a word spoken would have prevented that negativity. Thumper's dad had it right. If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Mark, like many people, has personal experience with the fact that words can affect destiny. In high school, a teacher told him he would amount to nothing and never become a military officer, his childhood goal. He never forgot the day, time, and all those present the moment those words were spoken. It hurt deeply and without guidance. Mark never bothered to pursue becoming an officer in the U.S. military. The point to the story is not whether he should have proven the teacher wrong by standing strong. The point is words have affected his destiny. Likewise, words have the profound ability to encourage, inspire, grow, cultivate, and beautify. Words have the uncanny ability to make things happen. Don't cry for Mark yet. His story continues with his college Russian history professor, a retired NSA cryptologist who broke the VNAT code, who told him his... Did you want to kiss me?
Yeah.
You could kiss me.
Interrupt you in the middle of a sentence.
That's okay. I'll take it. I love you too. God bless you. Let's see. Cryptologist who broke the Venona code, who told him his geopolitical thesis on North Korea from 1945 to 1998 was spot on and extremely insightful. Considering he did not have all the information the professor had access to, he inspired Mark's desire to learn and understand our world and its social structure in greater detail. As a direct result, today Mark studies and teaches social and political sciences with deep passion. A word uttered will leave a void where something great might have taken place, where just a word might have started the ripple to make it so, or a word unmuttered might prevent something terrible from taking place. How would the history of the United States have changed if Jefferson would have not remained silent regarding slavery during the debates of the Declaration of Independence, with the desire of the Declaration be an expression of the American mind. Jefferson removed himself from the debate. His decision to leave words unuttered may have had devastating consequences. He included a grievance regarding slavery in the Declaration, but Congress removed it. It was the longest and most detailed grievance. Perhaps a few words from Jefferson would have preserved his effort to abolish slavery. Doing so may have changed the destiny of our bloody history and freed countless future slaves with reason and purpose rather than blood and destruction. What we speak today will be the reality of tomorrow. It is important to understand the power of words and language in order to learn how to speak the language of liberty, because what we speak today will be the reality of tomorrow. If you speak the language of liberty today, you will have liberty tomorrow. If you speak the language of captivity today, you will have captivity tomorrow. The phrase, "you are what you eat," may be true to the physical. As it relates to our spiritual existence, it is not what goes in that matters as much as what comes out. We are what we speak. We grow into our language, good or bad. Youth who use disrespectful language will become disrespectful, and the same is true for the positive. The idea that you are what you speak is not a new idea, like the concept, "let there be light." You are what you speak is found in religious beliefs. Christianity establishes this idea in the Gospel of Mark. There is nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him, but the things which come out of him, those that defile the man. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile a man. Likewise, out of the heart proceed good thoughts, liberating thoughts, inspiring thoughts, the language of liberty. This is not to say that what goes on is not important. What goes in is not important. It is important how we digest what goes in, and more importantly, how we express it to our fellow man. The reason why we bring religious concepts into the discussion of the power and significance of words is to illustrate how deep the significance of language is in our society. Religious beliefs are among the strongest of human ideas because they are permanently fused to emotion, a bond that is not easily broken. When an idea has religious connections, it is an indication that it is a deeply held belief. From language to the moon and beyond. We chose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. These are the immortal words of John F. Kennedy on September 12th, 1962. On July 21st, 1969, just as JFK declared, Neil Armstrong made that small step to the surface of the moon. That giant leap was far more than going to the moon. It was far more than advancements in technology and the resulting increase in the quality of life for all humankind. It represented a far greater advancement in humankind, but before it was so, the vision was expressed in language. JFK outlined the goal of going to the moon by the end of 1960s. Many have forgotten the loftier goal outlined in the vision: to gain new ground, new territory, not for conquest, but for exploration, not to expand an empire, but to further all humankind. The goal of a non-aggressive conquest was a rare occurrence in history. In 1957, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, had launched Sputnik, followed by a man in space in 1961. Russia was ahead of the United States in manned space flight. JFK acknowledged this in his speech. To be sure, we are behind and will be behind for some time in manned flight, but we do not intend to stay behind, and in this decade, we shall make up and move ahead. Russia's intention was to conquer space. They were following thousands of years of man's desire to gain dominance over his fellow man. That was not the vision of JFK. It was not the vision of America. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon and to the planets beyond, and we have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace. We have vowed that we shall not see space filled with weapons of mass destruction, but with instruments of knowledge and understanding. Yet the vows of this nation can only be fulfilled if we in this nation are first, and therefore we intend to be first. In short, our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men, and to become the world's leading spacefaring nation. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man, and only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence can we help decide whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war. For all intents and purposes, this vision had become a reality. Space is not filled with weapons of mass destruction, but with instruments of knowledge and understanding. It is true there has been a glimpse of war and spy satellites, the Star Wars program, etc. JFK was not ignorant to this potential or even the need for this. He said, "I do not say that we should or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space any more than we go unprotected against the hostile use of land or sea. But I do say that space can be explored and mastered without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistakes that man has made, extending his writ around the globe of ours. Most of space is filled with instruments of communication, of exploration, and a space station that has brought unity to nations throughout shared science. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer spaces, yet its hazards are hostile to all of us. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind, and its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again." Where am I? There we go. JFK and others of the day used words to convey a vision, and those words became a reality. Can you imagine where we would be today if the prevailing words had been those of negativity, defeat, or words of violent conquest? JFK spoke the words of the language of liberty in 1962, and as a result, we have more liberty in our day and in space. All men are created equal, freed the slaves. Consider the phrase from America's founding documents. We hold these truths. All men are created equal, separate and equal station. Persons shall be eligible to the office of president. 3/5 of all other persons, we the people. What do each of these phrases have in common? They were not the reality of the day when they were written in 1776 and 1787. We hold these truths. What truths? It took decades for Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, John Adams, and others to help their countrymen see the truths to them that were self-evident. The conventional wisdom of the day acted as a fog that clouded the general understanding of the people. It took decades of the language of liberty to burn the fog off so that people could see the light of self-evidency. All men might have been created equal in reality, but in 1776, other men did not live by this self-evident truth. Where am I here? Let me get to my book. While America was working to bridge the gap between the classes, slavery continued to be a dark cloud and loomed over the country. The dark cloud of slavery diseased many minds, making it difficult to see the self-evident truths of liberty. Through the powers of the earth, recognize each individual in their separate and equal station. That certainly was not the mainstream reality in 1776. Slavery, indentured servitude, and social classes indicated that the public did not recognize the separate and equal station of the individual. The Constitution of the United States does not mention women. It does not mention men either. A person shall be eligible to the office of the president. A person. The Constitution is gender neutral. It did not prohibit women from voting or holding public office, but that was not the reality of the day. Women could not vote in 1787 or hold public office, even though the Constitution did not prohibit it. The American founders are often chastised for the 3/5 clause in the Constitution that seemingly declared a black person was worth only 3/5 of a white person. This chastening is an indication of more emotion than thought of the chastener. Contrary to this emotional opinion, the clause only pertained to a slave and not a free black person. and was therefore instrumental in freeing the slaves by giving less representation to the slave states. This fact was discovered by the self-educated former slave Frederick Douglass. He laid out the argument of that fact in 1860 when he said, "It is a downright disability laid upon the slaveholding states, one which deprives those states of 2/5 of their natural basis of representation. A black man in a free state is worth just 2/5 more than a black man in a slave state as a basis of political power under the Constitution. Therefore, instead of encouraging slavery, the Constitution encourages freedom by giving an increase of 2/5 of political power to free over slave states." So much for the 3/5 clause, taking it at its worst. It still leans to freedom, not slavery. For be it remembered that the Constitution nowhere forbids a colored man to vote. The phrase, "we the people," did not necessarily represent all the people when it was written, but it does today. In fact, all of those phrases were not the reality of their day, but they are the reality of our day. They were positive, optimistic, and forward-thinking. Those phrases were the language of liberty. When we speak the language of liberty today, we will have liberty tomorrow. All men were not treated equal in 1776, but the phrase, "all men are created equal," sparked a revolution in the mind of man that eventually freed the slaves, bridged the social classes, and secured the right of women to vote and hold public office. Our day is certainly not perfect. We still have a long way to go before those phrases are perfectly realized, but we have come far from the days when men held other men in bondage. We have at times gone backwards too. As our language changes, we either leap forward or stumble back. The gap between social classes, for example, seems to widen when we use the language of captivity, entitlement language, victimization language, instead of the more optimistic approach of industrious language, empowerment language. It is clear that we become what our language is. If we talk like a victim, we will become a victim. If we speak of our dreams, we will likely achieve them. The founders had a vision of what they thought we could be, even though we were not in 1706 and 1787. They hoped that presenting the words to the tribunal of the world, they would become a reality in future days. Summary: words have power, words are power. In the beginning, 1776, there were words of liberty, and those words became liberty. The words are liberty. Words become powerful or powerless when given or deprived of meaning. What words are you using? What future are your words conjuring? If you speak the language of captivity, then you will have captivity to look forward to in your future. If you want to partake in the fruit of liberty in the future, you must speak the language of liberty today. Hallelujah. Amen. Woo! Done it. I done it. Yay, me. Thank God. Man, I am sorry I missed the last couple weeks. Let's see, 38 minutes. Oh, well, that's typical of me. With these studies, the aim is 20 minutes. You know, maybe I should have broke that off into 2 streams, but I just felt like I was going and flowing and it was fine. And, you know, it's done now. So I want to read the chapters as I want to read them in their entirety. I really can't wait to get to chapter 3 because that's where I actually did read that whole chapter by myself already, because that's where we're going to get into distinguishing liberty, freedom and liberty. We're going to learn about what the difference is between freedom and liberty, and confined freedom, rightful liberty, and captivity. The captivity thinking, they did mention it, so I'll just read this one definition. The result of an imbalance between unobstructed freedom and confined freedom, manifested as either chaos or oppression. So, I mean, this is a really meaty book. I'm gonna get these down, uploaded for you, and if you guys want to print that off. I don't even know what this graph is yet. I've kind of looked at it. I do see it. You can see it. I can see it. But as far as really trying to understand it and comprehend it, I haven't really got there yet. But I see a lot of captivity thinking with truthers and with conservatives. They want us captive. They're captive about all kinds of issues, everything they're up to speed on, everything they're awake on, everything. Somebody decided time's up. Time's up. Y'all need to get up to speed with us because we know everything and you don't yet. You need to stop that stuff. It's ridiculous. There are people that are just waking up. We have been warned. Do not weaponize the truth. When people start to wake up, be there with loving, open, gentle arms, not condemnation, judgment, and persecution. Amen? I would really love that. If people could stop having expectations on other people and what everybody needs to be doing. Y'all need to start looking at yourself. That's what I did. God reminded me who I am. He reminded me who I am. And when I came into this Patriot movement, I thought I was a bigger deal because, I'm a business owner and I pay a lot of taxes. You know what? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We are all part of the Commonwealth. It does not matter. I just knew a little bit more about the laws because I used to actually read them to my employees. I used to read them laws about protective personal equipment and read them laws about, masks and everything else. You can't force somebody to wear protective personal equipment. You cannot, unless you're in a surgery room. So, I came out swinging like, I know these people are being illegal and they're being unlawful. And then I just got to a point where I realized I went down to the city council. I went down to the board of supervisors. I yelled at them. I served them affidavits and notices. I notarized that stuff. I sent it off to 7 places. I did the work. And I realized that these people that are in government, they're doing the work more. They are there. They are faithfully present. Doesn't matter if they're grifting, if they're, it does matter. But the point is, it doesn't matter in that they know more about the laws. They know more about, well, maybe not the laws, but they know more about running government. They know more about the functions of government than I did. And here I was coming at them, yelling at them, And I knew somewhat where they were breaking the law, but I had to learn better. So that's why I started diving into these studies. And I've done several studies now. I've done a couple different book studies. My favorite studies, and you can find them on Rumble because they're not YouTube. I have to delete a lot of my stuff off of YouTube. But I did this whole book study. I went through this whole entire book and I learned about the making of the Constitution, what our founding fathers went through. 4 months of discussions, hard discussions. They almost came to blows to hash this out for us. I went through this book too. This is the best one on principles. You get to learn about the 28 principles of America. Dr. Skousen decided the founders didn't write out these principles, but he figured it out. He figured out that everything they wrote and encapsulated together is principles. And so he penned them. 28 principles is what makes our Constitution. So we need to learn this stuff and we need to speak the language of liberty and not have this captivity mindset for other people. If you're going to be sharing the truth with people, we have to do it lovingly. I've gotten frustrated. I've gotten so mad at people. No one knows everything. That attitude sucks. I know. People get on there like they get on there like, we've been knowing this for 10 years. Come on, catch up. It's like, do you really think people are learning from you when you come on with that kind of attitude? I sure don't. I do not listen to people that come on with that attitude like, I'm better than you. I know everything. You don't know anything. It's like, come on. I see you. I see all of you. I see everybody. I see those people. I see they do have information. They have the confidence, so they must know something. I'll take that. I will. I'm not saying I don't listen to them, but I don't like learning from them as much. Like I'll listen to them, but it's like, man, you're one of those that would be like, oh, Dee's nails, her hair, her shoes, her this, her that. I don't fit in anywhere. I don't fit in nowhere. I don't care. I'm me. I'm sticking with me. I know who I am. I remembered who I was. And I am just a whosoever woman. I'm a people. I matter. We all matter. I want to see every one of you's talents. God give every one of you talents. You guys know how I love to point out people's talents. It's a trained mind to do that. You have to train your mind to look at people and be like, man, I wonder what God has done in their life. I wonder what kind of gifts and talents they have. But now what do you see in social media? Everybody getting on TV and propping themselves up, and they're so good. I'm so sick. I'm so disgusted by social media right now. In case you haven't figured it out, that's why I've been not on it much. I got to thank Cola so much for giving me her invitation to get on her show. We get on Wednesdays, and it's called What the Fudge Island. We do whatever we want island, whatever. Sorry, darling. It's on the thumbnail. This is the book I'm reading right now. I did see that question earlier. I'm sorry. Speaking the Language of Liberty. This is a new book that's been out by Bill Norton and Mark Herr. And I don't know if you know those guys. Bill Norton, I'm pretty sure he is is him or his dad. They're up in the Washington D.C. at the Capitol, right? So anyway, this book come out 2020. This book come out in 2020, so it's fairly new, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm excited to go with you guys. And you could go, if you go to the past last stream after there, or two ago, Pat, if you want to, if any of you guys want to, there is a Liberty test that you can do. You're supposed to do it before you start studying this book. And I did upload that, and that is, just look for these kind of checker things. Well, I'll show you, and then I better get off here. Devil Dog made it. You finished the Wycliffe Bible? Awesome. Tomorrow you start the Geneva Bible. If you read 3 chapters a day, you complete the Bible. Complete a Bible every year. Yep, that's right. And I've done it, I think 2 times. I've been listening. I'll put on Bible Gateway, and I'll go where I want to go, and I will just hit the speaker, and I'll just like be read to. It's kind of lazy. I noticed that Ruth Ann Zimmerman does that. She said she does that in the summer when she's really busy, but in the winter time she gets out her Bible and she she does like the study. She's so cute. I love her so much. I love Ruth Ann Zimmerman. She's one of my favorite homesteaders. So yeah. So small changes, big results. I think Carolina, Cola, and Echo are going to get on with me, and we'll share a bit, and then I'll drop the link and we can have discussion. But that's how I like to do it. I don't want to drop the link. I'm not going to drop the link because I'm not sure if I'm going to drop the link, but I will invite people who want to come and talk. We can talk about stuff, but I'm really trying to get back in the groove. And I used to have days, good days and bad days and stuff. And I would know when I would be able to get on, but now it's like moment to moment. Sometimes the day starts off good, and then there's some moments that come and it's just messing me up. And a lot is going on the ranch right now. My husband is high maintenance and keeping me very busy. So, it's a good thing you told me when I was done. Hello, Michigan. How art thou? Man, I love me some Michiganders. I love the Midwest. I am from the Midwest, I'm a South Side. No, I'm supposed to say Southwest Side. Southwest Side Chicago girl. Garfield Ridge was my community. If you know where that is. Garfield Ridge and Brighton Park. They're my old stomping grounds. That's why this girl's in California don't seem like a Californian, because I'm not a Californian. But I'm in California. God saw fit to stick this Chicago girl in California. Ain't that funny? Ha, ha, ha. And I'm stuck here, tying my hair. All right, I got to get out of here. I love you guys so much. I think I missed you because I don't want to get off here. So maybe Cola, Echo, and Carolina and I can come back on and do our stream today. I'll have to talk with them. If not, I'll be back soon, you guys. I love you so much. I pray that you can be a blessing to God, because I know we're blessed. Peace out.